Hello YouTube, this is a video about a B5.5 2003 Volkswagen Passat with a V6 engine. I will be showing you how to change the power steering pump on this engine. I have already done some of the steps, so let me show you what I've done so far before we get into the rest of it. There's a cover on the top, there's 4 plastic screws here, you'll need to remove those, and this whole thing will just pop up. Next up, this just pops out of place. It's clipped on one side here, and then this clips in right there. That's how that's held in place. Underneath that is this plastic cover here. There's one plastic screw down here right next to the oil dipstick, and another back here. You'll need to take that off. Give yourself a little more room. Next up, this module here, I'm not really sure what it is, but that's got to come out. There are 3 bolts here, here, and here, and then 1 nut here that have to come off. When you do that, this will come out, and then this whole module can come up with it. When we did this, this is the breather tube for the crankcase. It is old because it is a 20-year-old car at this point. This is old and brittle, so it broke when I took this out. I did get a replacement, so I'm going to be replacing that as well at a later point in time. So it's a good thing that we got the new breather because this completely snapped off, which is fine because I have a new one. So that actually gets that out of the way. While I still have the belt on, you will need a, what is this, a 6mm Allen wrench to take to undo the pulley. I just loosened it up with the, because I'm using the belt to hold the pulley in place so it doesn't move. All I did was just loosen it up so that once I get the thing off, I don't have to fight with it. So that's done. You'll notice all I did was use a piece of string just to pull this out of the way. Not too much because I don't want to bend any of these wires any more than I need to, and I don't want to have to undo anything any more than I absolutely must to get the pump off. By the way, this is the pump right here. So this is what we're going to be replacing. I believe you have to get the whole bracket apart, which is this whole assembly. So from here all the way up here, and let's see where the bolts are to get that out. Next, you're going to need to get the serpentine belt off. That's this. To do so, you will need a 17mm socket, and the idler pulley is right down here. I don't know if you can see that in the video. It's right down here. Directly underneath it is where you connect this to. Right in there. Come on. It is a bit of a pain to even see, let alone reach. There we go. Okay. And what you're going to want to do is push that way. But be careful because the cooling fan is right next to it, and if you're not careful, you're going to crack that. So when you do that, you can actually see the belt loosening right now. So now that that's loose, I'm just going to undo that carefully. Let it go. And we are good. And what I think I'm going to do, because I do not want to have to fight to get this back on, is I am going to tie this so that there's tension on it so that the rest of it doesn't let go. Alright, so I just used some string to tie the serpentine belt. Again, this way I don't have to, it's not going to pull off the pulleys at the bottom there because it is kind of a pain to get that out. So this is going to keep it in place while we're working on here. So we did loosen up the bolts before, so now you should just be able to do this almost by hand. Again, this is a 6mm Allen key. There's 1, there's 3 bolts here that are now loose. Yep. hopefully this pops right off, which it does. So here's your pulley. All right, that's off. To make sure I don't lose the bolts, what I'm going to do is just put them back where they were. I already see there's a gasket behind this that looks like it's out of place, so that's probably part of the problem why this was in no good shape in the first place. All right, so from other videos I found I don't think you can just get the pump off. It has to come off with the whole bracket that's attached to, which is this kind of U-shaped thing, this bracket that comes all the way down and around here. So let's see how we get that out. This next part is the biggest pain. Actually getting the pump out is quite the thing. There's one bolt under here. Where is it? Yeah, there's one bolt right there. There's another one right here, which I've already got the socket attached to, and there's a third one back here. You will need I got a socket attachment for a ratchet so that I can actually, there we go, get the thing off. It does help if you have an attachment for the socket, because it is buried way in there. I gave myself a scare because I thought that I had stripped the head of this. So what I would recommend is tapping the socket in with a hammer or a mallet before you start trying to take it out, so you don't strip the head, because that would be really problematic to get out if you don't. I've already gone ahead and loosened them, which is why I'm able to get them out so quickly. There's a second one. And then, as I mentioned, let me get this out of the way. The third one, so the front two are horizontal. The one in the back is vertical. For this one, we can actually use a longer socket, which I have. Nope, longer still. There we go. See, it's already loose. I'm not going to chance dropping that, so what I am going to do is get a magnet and pull that out. Also notice that the two in the front are shorter than the one in the back. And like I said, I was worried about the head stripping, so what I did was I tapped it in to make sure that it was all the way deep into the head as it could go, which would minimize the risk of stripping. So that's out. This should be loose, and it is. So next, I'm going to go ahead and take out the hoses. All right, so change of plan. I did take the bolts out to be able to get the pump housing off. However, I had to put it on again so that I could get leverage to take this, to loosen up this nut. So this is the supply side. It has a single use. It has a single use clamp on there, which I'm going to get rid of and replace with just a regular normal hose clamp. And then on the other side, which I'll do right now, I'm gonna undo this. All right, so that is now free. I'm gonna put that back in there so I don't lose it, just like I did with the nuts for the pulley. And then, provided I can find my snips, which are right here. Okay, maybe I need something a little bigger than that. Go. That's loose. All right, one-time use clip is junk. So now we should be able to pull this out. This should be the inlet side. Come on. There we go. Maybe that can come off while it's loose. So I'm gonna go back here. I didn't tighten it down tight. I only put it just enough to hold it in place to give me leverage to take that bolt off. So now that we've got that off, one side here. This one is really hard to see. One side here. And then the third one in the back again. Which I know is going to try to fall down there, and I'm not having that, so I'll guide it out with a magnet. Yep, perfect. All right, now that that's all loose, this whole thing should pull out somehow. Oh, I've got one more bracket to do. Millimeter. Yeah, this must come out. That whole, yep, there we go. So I don't lose it. That last bolt holds this other hose in place. The only thing that should be holding this on now is this hose, which we should now be able to get out somehow. We are. Power steering, finally out. All right, so this is actually the problem. What had happened with this car is that this high pressure hose had a leak back here. It's kind of interesting following the chain of events here. This hose had a leak. was dribbling fluid all over the engine. So when we bought the thing, it would look like the engine was smoking some. It turns out it was just high pressure, the power steering fluid that was hitting the engine and heating up and steaming off. But what I think happened is that because the high pressure hose had a leak in it, it drained all the power steering fluid out of the reservoir, starved the pump, so the pump failed, and that's how we have it now, where the car makes a whole lot of noise when you try to turn, you don't get any power steering. So anyway, we are going to replace this as well. So what you're going to need is a pair of snips, because there is a wire. There's one of these, which, oh, that's gone. There's two wire connectors, one here and one back here. So I'm going to take that one off as well and replace those. And then you will need, and I've already loosened this up, but a 10mm socket to take out this clamp right here. And again, I'm going to put the screw back where it came from so I don't forget where it goes and lose it. And then back here, there's a large connector. I don't honestly know what size it is. I'm just using an inch to get it out. But remember, it's clamped on righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but the way it's held on, to loosen it, you're going to have to turn it this way. Which again, I've already loosened it up, so I'm just undoing this with my finger now. And that should allow this whole hose should pull off. Unless there's something else that I missed somewhere. Yep, there we go. All right, so here is our pump housing. One of the bolts did get stripped, so I had to use a angle grinder to put a notch in it so I could get a screwdriver on it. But there's 3 screws to get this out, 1, 2, and then the back one, which I already took out, is 3. So you take these 3 out, which are obviously already loose. And this now should pop right out, and it does. All right, old one is out, new one is here. I did get a replacement bolt. It's an M8 bolt. Should just slide right in here like it does. Good. I'll fight with this off camera. All right, so once you're done, you should end up with something that looks like this. Again, 1 bolt, here's a new bolt that I had to put in, and the 3rd is back here again. So we are ready to stick this back into the engine. Okay, so this still has the protective plug on it, which not get off. Okay. That pulls off. So now I'll take this bolt off because I'm going to need that. This, I'm going to put this back. Plug that in. Yep, and it goes. Okay. This goes back in here. We're just literally undoing everything that we did before. Tightening everything but, oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention about the bolts for this. When you put them back on, make sure you use some Threadlock to make sure that they don't back out again. This is like, I don't know, $8. You can get it at the local hardware store. It's actually pretty good to have around. So anyway, back to this. So now we're just literally putting everything back the way we had it. We start here with this bracket that was holding the hose on, tighten that up good. Next, we're going to do this again. I'm not using that one-time disposable connectors. We're just going to use regular old hose clamps, so we will not have to go back to Volkswagen. Tighten that up. Should be good there. Okay. Next we have our pipe. Here's a new one. And I just realized that I got to do a little bit of research because there is one washer on here. And I don't remember this one washer. I don't remember which side of the fitting it goes on. So we're going to pause here while I do a little bit of research and then come back. Alright, so the nice thing about having recorded a video of me taking this apart is we have a video of showing where things went, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this, is for my own benefit. So, it turns out that this washer goes on the outside of the hose. We're going to put that back. Oh, we're going to take this nut out so we can put that back in later. So this goes in. And I will put that on off camera. Okay, so doing this a little different than how we disassemble it, but it will result in the same thing. I am putting this bolt back in this bracket to hold this in place, like it should go. I'm just going to leave that figure tight for now because the main thing is to attach the bracket back to the engine like we had it. So again, all this is the reverse of what we did earlier. Threadlock. Liberal amount of Threadlock on here. Actually, I remember this now. I think it's actually easier if you start with the long one that's in the back, because that lines up the holes in the front. So again, lots of Threadlock on here. Blue Threadlock, not red. Get our magnet out again. Okay. On semi-tight, get things about in the right place. Now we can do the front, and the 1 volt is right here. Threadlock applied. This one goes in right here. And I will tighten these three up off camera. First one you have to put on is this one right back here. It's this one, that one right there. That's the first one you put on. Next is this one in the front. See where the ratchet is? It's right in there. So we're gonna do this one finger tight as well. It really is hard to see. There we are. Nope. There we go. Okay. So that's the next one you gotta do. I'll tighten it up right now. And then the last one is on this side. Come around. And then the last one is on this side right here. Again, all three of these have been thread locked. So they shouldn't be going anywhere. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now, I don't have, I'm pretty sure this is metric. I don't have that right size, but 7/16 seems to do just fine to tighten the pressure side on. So I'm going to do that. And we come back with our 10mm. You move this back to where it needs to be. The back lines up there with that fitting right there. So now we can tighten this up again. Right. On the back side, again, I don't have anything metric the size that I need. Whoops. Come back here. There we go. Thread that back on. Do this off camera. Okay, so got this back one on. Again, I don't have metric, but you will need, I think it's a 17mm on this side, on the hose side to tighten this up. And then on the back side, again, I don't have the right size, so I think it's the 13/16 is what I end up using for that fitting. But that's on now. Then I have zip ties, so we zip tie these wires back where they were. So I'm just going to cut those off. Same with this one. All right. I am going to tighten this down one more time. Okay, so that's good. The pump is good. This is good. This is good. So now I am going to reattach the pulley. I'm only going to do this finger tight. Yes, I did transfer these over to the new pump off camera. So you've got the marking on here so you know which side was in. So we've got that. One. Are a pain to get your fingers in there. 2. And 3. Okay. Get up to 6mm again. I'm going to take these down as much as I can with it loose. Alright, so I stopped the video last time because I forgot to put some Threadlock on these as well. But I've done that and I'm right back to where I was. So all I did was snug these down by hand as much as I can without the pulley on. All 3. 2 and 3. All right, so far we're looking pretty good. So the pulley's semi on, the pipes are on, the inlet side pipe is on, the exit side pipe is on. It has been screwed down to the block where it should be. It's connected in the back. I've got the wire ties back on, new wire ties back on. Yeah, so now undo this rope, and exactly what I was afraid of happening did happen. So we're gonna fix this off camera. Okay, after getting the pulley back where it should be, now there we go. Push that idler pulley back so that we can pull this out. More your fingers are in the way. Oh, come back here. It is a pain because everything needs to be in the same space. And as I said earlier, you have to be careful cooling fan. There we go. There we go. All right. Back in business. Back in business on this side. Put it down there. Let everything go. All right. We're good. Okay, so now that the pulley's on, we've got something to help us keep this pulley in place. Now we can go tighten this down a little more. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and that is good. Now, back. use a 10 millimeter here. So it's one. Actually, they're all 10 millimeter, which is convenient for this. One there. You've got two here. You've got two here. Three here. And then the nut comes here. Make sure you remember to put this back. And I'll tighten all this up off camera. And that's about everything. So from here, again, the cover goes on this side. You can see one hole here, the other hole here. That's where these two go on. This gets clipped to the side here. This clip goes right here. And then this, the inside, gets clipped right there. And then the main engine cover goes on. 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. Goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're done.